But as it is written, eye hath not seen, nor ear heard, neither hath entered into the heart of man the things which God hath prepared for them that love him. But God hath revealed them unto us by his Spirit.
Psalms chapter 17, verse 15. As for me, I will behold thy face in righteousness. I shall be satisfied when I awake with thy likeness. Shalom Yasharala, peace Israel. Kahalayimlah, Alahayinawa, Abanawa, Yahweh, Bahasham Yahushai, Bahasham Rakapadash. All praise to our power, our Father Yahweh, in the name of Yahushai, in the name of Holy Spirit. Double honor to our elder apostles and elder bishops, great millstone. Peace and blessing to your hopeful elect out there. You brothers teaching this word in truth and in sincerity, okay? Yahweh Shai will make you elect like him. Yahweh Shai will make you hopeful elect out there just like him. He's gonna make you just like him, and he's gonna give you everything in due season, okay? I'm gonna read the scripture again, and then I'll get another. Just gonna read two scriptures in the Psalms. Psalms chapter 17 and verse 15 again. As for me, and this is a Psalm of David, and we know King David was an Israelite. Or should I say he is an Israelite, okay? So this verse right here is only for the Israelites, beginning with the elect. Those are part of the house of David. Because King David himself, he wrote this. Psalm 17 and 15. As for me, I will behold thy face in righteousness, meaning you will behold this truth, okay? This truth is the Lord's face. His image. You're looking at his face in righteousness by you understanding this truth. Okay? He opened up your mind to receive this word. You understand and believe in the true proper name of the Heavenly Father, Yahweh. You understand and believe in the true proper name of his beloved Son, Yahushai. You know that we're the Israelites, so-called blacks, Latinos, Hispanics, and Native Americans. You understand this truth. So you're beholding his face in righteousness, meaning you're understanding these scriptures. I shall be satisfied when I awake with thy likeness, meaning when you're changed. When Yahushai returns to this earth, he's gonna quicken you. He's gonna give you life. When you receive that new body, it's like you're waking up for the first time. Totally refreshed, totally renewed, totally rejuvenated. A whole new world, a whole new life. That's how it's going to be when you receive that immortal body. You will be satisfied when you awake with his likeness, meaning you're going to be changed and you're going to be just like him. Because he is the perfect model. He is the archetype. So for you hopeful elect out there, you're being made into different versions of Yahushai. When he returns to this planet Earth, he's going to make you just like him. First, he gave you this truth. You have this truth by way of his death and resurrection, because Yahushai had to die for us to receive this truth, this word. So you're beholding his face by you looking at this word. So you see Yahushai all the time. You see Yahushai by way of this word because he is the word. He comes in a volume of the book. And the more you get into this book, the more you're becoming like his image spiritually. And when he returns to this earth, physically, you're going to be like him. Physically, you're going to be changed. And you're going to receive that new covenant. The laws, statutes, and commandments will be in your mind. You're going to be programmed to do righteousness. Okay? You will have the law, statutes, and commandments downloaded within your brain. You're going to be satisfied when you awake with his likeness, meaning when he returns, he's going to beam you up, deliver you, and you're going to be just like him. And he's going to give you everything. He will give you everything, man, because he himself received everything. Now, this is Psalms chapter 16, beginning in verse 9. Therefore, my heart is glad. Now, this is Yahweh Shai speaking in the spirit. Now, these are Psalms written by our beloved King David. But a lot of these Psalms, you hear Yahweh Shai in the spirit. Therefore, my heart is glad and my glory rejoiceth. Talking about Yahweh Shai. Because he knew that he was going to be resurrected after his crucifixion. And he knew what glory would follow.
All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I would like to give all praise and glory unto Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shah Bahashem, Rakapadash, and double honors unto the apostles and the elders of GMS who rule well, teach well, being great examples to his younger brothers, and peace and blessings and salutation to the hopeful elect out there pushing his word and truth. All right. And sincerity across the four winds in the name of Yahweh Bashem Shai, pushing to get up out of here. Shalom to the hopeful elect, the believers, the listeners who have came back to the obedience of the scriptures through faith in Yahweh Bashem Shai. All right. And what I want to get into this morning, this morning news and prophecy is a joke of a rulership. Esau, Edom, he's been able to parade himself, around the earth, as if he's this great superior, nation of people, as if he is the standard of righteousness, he's the standard of morality. All right, he's the standard of beauty, of wisdom, and as if as if he has it all figured out, okay, and the earth shall follow him. Okay, but as we get closer and closer up on this man, as there's an inquisition, okay, being made, all right, upon the devil. All right, if a brother want to get that, I believe it's 2nd Ezra 6 and 19. All right, if a brother want to get that Bible shot, okay. But as we get close up on this nigga, man, we see that Esau don't got it. All right, and this man's a clown. This nigga's nasty. All right, and this man has turned the earth, all right, into a shit show and a big freak off, man. Okay, when you really just sum up this nigga rulership, this man has turned the planet Earth, okay, to a shit show of confusion and the freak off, man. Okay, and this is why we see, the Lord has this man's kingdom rapidly deteriorating, man. Because the Lord is bringing this man unto judgment. So every step that this nigga taking, now he's getting that much closer to his ass being judged and his kingdom being ended, man. So let's go here. Brother. It's your brother Mark Ball. All right, 89. It says 2nd Ezra 6 and 19. And I will begin to make inquisition of them, what they be that have hurt unjustly with their unrighteousness, and when the affliction of Zion shall be fulfilled. Okay, so there's an inquisition being made upon Esau, which that's an intense investigation. Okay, this nigga's being, cross-examined in the courtroom. Okay, and all evidence point to this nigga being the problem. When you look at the problems, the complaints of the planet Earth, they all root back to Esau, man. Okay, there's evidence that everything that we see happening roots back to him. Why is there poison in the food supply? Because of Esau. He intentionally does these things. Why is the water poison? Because of Esau. Chemtrails in the air. Why is the air polluted? Esau, his industrial, all right, his factories, okay, his industries, okay, as we've been going lately into the data centers, okay, and the wickedness behind the data centers. Who's behind it? Okay, every conflict, every war, okay, since the 1500s until now, who's been the root cause of it? What war has there been? Okay, and Esau hasn't been a part of it. Okay, since the 1500s, man. All right. When you really go into the history of wars and conflicts, all right, the major wars in the earth, this nigga has been the source of it, man. You know, and especially America. Okay, especially since America has been the nation, they've been at war over 90% of the time, and war has a ripple effect. Okay, on the earth, man. Hey, even they talk about third world countries. Okay, third world country. Well, why is there even a such thing as a third world country? Okay, there was no such thing as third world countries before Esau's rulership. Okay, why are there third world countries, man? Because of the wickedness of this nigga. Because these major corporations, these Edomite corporations, go in, all right, and extrapolate the resources, okay, from all these what they call third world countries, and the profit go to the few oligarchs, okay, while millions, okay, live what they call in the third world condition, man. Okay, so let's go here. I got a few presets. I got a few videos I want to get into today too. So when you go here, let's get this in the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 10, and verse 5. It said, there is an evil which I have seen under the sun, which is in the earth, as an error which proceeded from the ruler. Folly is set in great dignity, and the rich sit in a low place, man. Okay, and Esau is the folly that's set in great dignity, man. You know, and because this devil, all right, has created an atmosphere with folly, okay, is celebrated. Okay, low life, degeneracy. Esau is the real low life, man. Okay, Esau is the real low life of the planet Earth, and they're celebrated. All right, when you see how these devils move, how they are, because see, this man has been able to paint himself, as you think of Esau, you think of, nobility. Okay, you think of etiquette, you think of, just being on point. But no, this nigga's a real low life. And this nigga's a fraud. Okay, this nigga's a real fraud. Okay, but see, the veil has been lifted. You see, and now as we know this truth, man, the more we mature in this truth, okay, and really look at this nigga, we can see him for what he really is, man. Okay, but this nigga has a society, okay, where let's see, let's go here. Well, folly is set in great dignity, man. That's the thing that's celebrated and rewarded is folly. Okay, when people go viral, what do they go viral for? For folly. Okay, that's the trend of the world is folly, man, which is foolishness, man. All right, stupidity, vanity, man. Okay, he says, and the rich sit in a low place because the true rich people of the earth are Israelites, man. And especially as we've come back into the real riches, which is the wisdom, knowledge, and understanding of Yahweh Bashem Shah. As we've come back into the true riches, okay, because that's what makes us valuable as a people is the knowledge of Yahweh Bashem Shah, man, the true wisdom. When the Most High breathed that breath into Adam, he breathed value into Adam, man. That understanding, this is a valuable thing because through this understanding, the earth is going to flourish, man. See, we're really going, and we see it now. We're beginning to see, all right, the benefits of having this wisdom, the value of having this wisdom and understanding. Because as people are bugging out, okay, people are crashing out, okay, people are following Esau. Okay, they still look at this man as something to follow, man, because they don't have this wisdom. Speaking to our people. You know, so Jake is in the darkness. All right, Jake is in the dark, and they're still following Esau like he got the way. But we have the true wealth, which is the understanding and the wisdom of Yahweh Bashem Shai, man. Okay, so this nigga can't play like he got it, you know, amongst the hopeful elect because the Lord has enlightened us in righteousness, man. Okay, for brother want to put that the book of Baruch, chapter 4, verses 1 through 4, Bible Kashah. All right, hey, 144. All right, but the book of Baruch, chapter 4, verses 1 through 4. Okay, it says, folly is set in great dignity, and the rich sit in low place. I have seen servants upon horses and princes walking as servants upon the earth, man. And we're those princes, Yasha Allah, walking as servants, and the Lord punished us, so this is our humbling, the fact that we have to be under this devil, okay? We have to be under the worst heathen, okay, which is Esau Edom, and this nigga is a servant that's upon a horse, parading himself to be, all right, this great, noble nation of people, man. This superior, this intelligent, innovative. This nigga's a fraud, man. Okay? Because, like I say, man, when we go into the, like we've been going into lately, man, the Jakes, okay, that really put this AI together, okay? It took, you know, the Israelite woman going to these mathematicians that was working for NASA in the 50s, okay? Katherine Johnson, Dorothy Vaughan, okay? I forgot the other one, her first name, but her last name Jackson. But ultimately, that movie, Hidden Figures, okay? But this devil, he parades himself like he's so great. But wait a minute, it took Jake engineers and mathematicians, okay, for this devil to really forward himself in his technology, man. Now this devil has the resources, okay, to develop this technology and mass produce it, okay, and implement it in society and create an infrastructure with the technology. But the brains behind it, okay, be Jake, man, which Jake is what? The sons of God, the princes, the true princes, man. Okay, and you go back into, the 50s, 40s, man, Jake was on the level, man. All right. Jake wasn't enchanted. Jake wasn't destroyed with the food like they are today. Okay. But all in all, man, this devil, when you really get into it, like going into an inquisition, when you really investigate this nigga, you find out that he's a fraud, man. He's a clown. Okay. And you look at these people that they parade as heroes, and especially this nigga here, Trump, which is a major clown. He's the biggest clown of them all, man. All right. And you go back to Nero, you study Esau history, Nero was a clown. A lot of these Caesars was clown. Claudius, Caligula, all right, Tiberius. Okay. It's only a few of them that was, you get the Julius and Augustus and all right, Vespasian. But other than that, man, these guys, all them Caesars were clown, man. Straight clowns. Men of no value, man. All right. They just Edomites that was born into power. Okay. And this is what we're seeing now. Why you see the Elon Musk and you Peter Thiel and these niggas, man, these are just clowns born into power, man. Ain't nothing great about these goddamn Edomites, man. All right. Ain't nothing great about these goddamn Edomites. You know? I'm not impressed, man, with nothing that Esau do. Okay, let's go. I'm gonna pull up this video because this State of the Union, which was an absolute joke. Okay, this State of the Union, it was super boring. There's no way you can sit there and watch. And then they said it was one of the longest State of the Unions ever. Okay, and it was super duper boring. All right, Trump has low energy, man. You know, Trump has very low energy, man. This go around. Okay, but we're just gonna watch a few clips and then show you the reality, man. Because they just get up there and say any goddamn thing. Okay, they have absolutely no respect for all right the American people, and they know they dumb you down so much that they can just throw this nigga on camera. He can get up there and say anything. Okay, and he's gonna always have a following. Okay, now you go here, the brother got this. The brother Yaquab, hopeful like 3, the water, bro. His Baruch 4:1 said, "This is the book of the commandments of the Most High, and the law that endureth forever. All they that keep it shall come to life, but such as leave it shall die." You know, so the Lord has raised up a remnant to come back to this understanding. Okay, to come back to righteousness, man. Okay, because at first we didn't have a standard. We ain't had nothing to compare this nigga to, man. But now that the Lord has returned us back to our way, to the righteousness of the scriptures, we've been turned back to our power, our heritage, our culture. Now we got something to compare. All right, and we look at this nigga, man. This nigga's inferior, man. You know, when you get into All right, the wisdom of the scriptures, man. And you see how this nigga running the earth, man. It's like, nigga, this nigga's inferior, man. This nigga don't got it. Okay? Baruch 4:2 says, turn thee, O Jacob, and take hold of it. Walk in the presence of the light thereof, that thou mayest be illuminated. See, we've been illuminated on the right hand side. Okay? So this nigga can't get up there and tell us anything, man. The Lord put us on. See, the Bible put us on game, and the Bible put us on the level, man. Okay, that's why we look forward to a world beyond this, man, because we know it's way better, man. We know we got something way better than what this nigga got going on, man. All right, and look at what this nigga has turned the earth into, man. Okay, look at what people are arguing about. Look how primitive people have gotten. Okay, that's because the earth is being ran by a low life, and everyone else is low lives in this kingdom, man. If you're under the enchantment, the vibration of an Edomite, you're a low life. Okay, but the elect has been illuminated in righteousness, man. We're walking in the presence of the light, okay, of Yahweh by Shema Shai. You see, it says, give not thine honor to another, nor the things that are profitable unto a strange nation. Okay, because this wisdom is for us. Okay, the Lord gave us this wisdom as a nation of people to run the earth in righteousness, man. Okay, it doesn't profit these other nations, man. You see, when we're in order, you see, the one thing about the sons of God, when the sons of God are in order, the earth is paradise. You see, but when the sons of God are out of order, the earth is in complete chaos, man. So this wisdom, all right, is profitable unto us, and eventually this wisdom is going to be profitable to the earth. Okay, because it's all about the Lord's people getting in order. Then everything else is going to fall in order under that, man. That's why Yahushua had to go through his suffering to be perfected, and we're coming behind him going through our suffering to be perfected, man. Okay, and through the Israelites, their remnant, okay, the hopeful elect being perfected through suffering, the Lord is finna reestablish paradise back in the earth, man. But it begins with us, you know. Verse 4, it says, "Oh happy," it says, "O Israel, happy are we, for things that are pleasing to the Most High are made known unto us, man." So the things that are pleasing to Yahweh by Shema Shai has been made known unto his people, man. That's why we know Esau ain't talking about a goddamn thing, man. Esau, he's the exact opposite. Matter of fact, let me get the definition. He's the exact opposite, man. He's everything that's displeasing to our power. And that's why people that follow Esau, okay, they find themselves in terrible predicaments because they're displeasing. You're following Esau, you're following the thing that is the most displeasing to the Heavenly Father, man. Okay, it says a low life or low life is a disparaging, informal term for a person regarded as thoroughly disreputable, immoral, or dishonest, often referring to criminals, scammers, bullies, and those lacking integrity. This insult suggests a despicable character of someone living on the fringes, all right, of acceptable society, man. Okay, and this embodiment of Esau, man. This is who run the earth: criminals, scammers. Okay, the reason why scamming, because you ask Eve, you like a scammer or 9 to 5? Oh, I like a scammer, because that's held in great dignity. Because the people that run the earth scam, the elites, this whole banking system, the economy is a scam, the job scam, school system, college, medicals, everything's a scam. Okay, so scammers are glorified, bullies. You see, that spirit of a bully, that's glorified here on every level of society. A bully is glorified. People that lack integrity, okay, these things are all glorified under this rulership or this goddamn clown, man. It said definition: a despicable person, degenerate, or someone with very low moral character, man. And this is this society, man. Okay, you have a society where you got what? Slut walks, people protesting for the right to unalive children. Okay, alphabet, a whole month. dedicated to, okay, promoting alphabet Pride Month. Okay, it says used as a noun to describe a no good person, such as a thief, scam artist, or an older tech someone, all right, with low, okay, social status, man. Okay, and this man is the embodiment of a low life, and he has turned the whole world, okay, into low lives, man. You know, this man's turned the whole society to the majority of people are low lives, man. Okay, so let's go here real quick. Let's play this. Just address a little bit of this. So let's play a little bit of this clown, man.
Our nation is back, bigger, better, richer, and stronger than ever before. Incomes are rising fast. The roaring economy is roaring like never before. And our enemies are scared. Our military and police are stacked. And America is respected again, perhaps like never before. In the past 9 months, 0 illegal aliens have been admitted to the United States. But we will always allow people to come in legally, people that will love our country and will work hard to maintain our country. As I say tonight, members of Congress, the state of our union is strong. You're going to win again. You're going to win big. You're going to win bigger than ever. And to prove that point, here with us tonight is a group of winners who just made the entire nation proud. The men's gold medal Olympic hockey team. Come on in. They beat a fantastic Canadian.
So and you go into it. You know, he boasts about the economy is better than it's ever. Everything is better than it's ever been. Okay, and then you just got these politicians. All right, a room full of millionaires and billionaires. Okay, and they're just applauding this nigga like he's something great, man. Okay, your American government is a clown show, man. All right, and this is your command in chief going into the Third World War. Clowns. This guy, Trump a clown. The nigga behind him, J.D. Vance, that nigga a clown. Pete Hegseth, a clown. Stephen Miller, a clown. Okay, Mark Rubio, another clown. Okay, and this is what's leading you Americans into war. Okay, with all those superpowers over there in the East, man. Okay, and they gonna get this bitch turned to a desert. All right, because these other nations are looking at America with complete disgust, man. Okay, they call these Edomites. Everybody in this room, everyone in the world, these other world leaders call these the Epstein class, man. It's the Epstein crew. Okay, they don't even call these people by names anymore. They say this is the Epstein crew. Okay, a joke, man. They're shameful spewing. You see, so he just brags about everything is better, the economy, we're richer, we're strong, our military, nigga, that's a lie.
Team in overtime is every.
Okay, that nigga lying. Okay, and simple people will hear that, and think that they in some type of good case. Okay, but let's go into what's really been happening, man. All right, first let's go into this nigga just got up there and lied. All right, for an hour and a half, man. Okay, so let's go here. Let's go in here real quick.
Howdy there, Internet people. It's Belle again. So today, we're going to talk about fact-checking Trump's State of the Union. Trump's speech was exactly what everybody thought it would be. Too long, grievance-filled, Grandpa Simpson playing loose with the facts, and so on. Congressional members refused to come. Some were asked to leave. It was generally what you would expect from a President Trump speech, by which I mean anything but presidential. But he did stretch it into a record-setting 1 hour and 47 minutes. So there's that. We're going to hit the highlights of his claims and provide a fact check. I'll break them down into categories to make it easier. Let's start with economic claims. Trump said, quote, "Beef, which was very high, is starting to come down significantly." False. Ground beef hit a new record high of $6.75 per pound last month, according to his Bureau of Labor Statistics. He also said, quote, "We have added 70,000 new construction jobs in just a very short period of time." False. Even according to his BLS, after he fired someone after a bad jobs report, the number from January 2025 to January 2026, 44,000 construction jobs. Keep in mind, people he can't fire at the Fed think there was a, quote, "upward bias in the jobs numbers." Trump said, quote, "Every service member recently received a warrior dividend of $1,776. They put it on my desk. We got the money from tariffs and other things. A lot of money we have." False. The money came from a supplemental housing fund that was appropriated by Congress, not tariffs. He said, quote, "Let me urge this Congress to begin the mission by passing the largest tax cut in American history. And our Republican majority delivered so beautifully." False. It's not the largest tax cut in history. But according to the Center for Economic and Policy Research, his tariffs are the largest tax increase in over 30 years. His election claims. We'll skip over the obvious ones. When talking about the SAVE Act, he said, quote, "No more crooked mail-in ballots, except for illness, disability, military, or travel." False. The SAVE Act makes voting harder for a lot of Americans, but it doesn't stop mail-in voting. He's asking you to support a bill, and he doesn't even know what it does. He said, quote, "Cheating is rampant in our elections. It's rampant." False. Even the Heritage Foundation of Project 2025 fame only found about 40 cases of voter fraud in Pennsylvania out of 100 million ballots. Nevada's numbers show it to be literally 1 in a million. Moving on to foreign policy. Quote, "I ended 8 wars. False. I've got fact checks on this. Of all the things that didn't happen, this didn't happen the most. However, the laughter that erupted from the audience when he said this seemed to be genuine. He said, quote, "I secured commitments for more than $18 trillion pouring in from all over the globe." False. This number is nowhere to be found, even on the White House website. Some random ones. Trump said, quote, "We have almost no crime anymore in Washington, D.C. False. There's been a homicide every 6 days since New Year's. On the less severe side, there's more than 5 cars stolen per day. He also said, quote, "We have lifted 2.4 million Americans, a record, off of food stamps." False and insulting. He didn't lift people out of poverty, but this number is real. According to the Center on Budget Policy and Priorities, 2.4 million people will lose eligibility. It's happening because of that attack on the working class he called the One Big Beautiful Bill. Here's one that's true, but definitely needs some context. He bragged about an all-time stock market high. What about the Dow? Yeah, that's true.
And nigga, we don't benefit from no goddamn stock market. All right, the common person don't benefit from the stock market. Okay, your little 1/10 of a Bitcoin. Okay, your 2 ounces of gold. 4 ounces of silver. Nigga, you don't see no. You know. All right, you got 1/10 of a Bitcoin. All right, an ounce and a half of gold. Nigga, the stock market don't affect the common man. Okay, the people that the stock market affect is those people that's in their room with Trump clapping for every goddamn thing. All right, because he helping them steal. That's why they up and clapping for this nigga so much, because he's helping them steal more than they ever stole before. Okay, that's why they clapping for everything that nigga say. Okay, it's not you American people are in the worst position ever under this nigga Trump, man. All right, you're in the worst position economically. Okay, you're in the worst position. All right, as far as civil unrest. Okay, well, your own government is getting ready to be draconian against your ass, man. Okay, ICE was just a little glimpse of what they're getting ready to do. Okay, America has the most data centers that's coming. All right, we read about let me see, because we keep going into about these data centers. So let's see how many. Yep. So let's go here. So we read about how these data centers are wreaking havoc. Okay, on the locals. Okay, people that live close by in facilities of these data centers having seizures, can't breathe. All right, asthma flaring up. People that never had asthma getting asthma. Okay, then you have the infrasound. We went into the dangers of infrasound. Okay, what that do to you, which is noise you can't hear, but it's harmful to the body. Okay, now this comes from data center. Plus, the light bills going up. The drinkable water is being contaminated. Farmland is being contaminated. They're wreaking havoc on the environment. Okay, so let's go. How many data centers are being built in the U.S.? Nearly 3,000 new data centers are currently planned or under construction across the U.S. as of late 2025. Okay, 3,000 are under construction, man, adding to over 4,000 already in operation. Remember, there's only 10,000, there's only 1,100 data centers in the world, and right now America has 4,000 of them. Okay, then they're going to push for another 3,000. That's going to be 7,000. Okay, so let's say the world has 14,000 data centers. America has 7,000 of them, man. Okay, that's going to wreak havoc. Okay, on the masses, man. Okay, but that nigga stand up there for hours and tell you, that America is in the best position it's ever been. How he's doing what no other president has ever done, and he goddamn right. Okay, no other president has fully given the American people over to the technocrats like Donald Trump. He's fully giving you over to the technocrats and the oligarchs, man. All right, they run the show. Okay. So let's go from there. Let's segue here. All right. Um,
Ask Me Anything Reddit thread on the politics subreddit that I found pretty insightful. In his answers, he gave a lot of insight into what happens on the ground and behind the scenes at the State of the Union. According to the reporter, the seating is not assigned. And so some lawmakers, the people that we pay pay and send to Washington to represent us and do the day-to-day work of like writing laws. Some of them will camp out for hours and hours before the State of the Union so that they can claim an aisle seat. They're called aisle hogs. They do this because they want to be able to get photographed shaking the president's hand or looking on sternly and angrily if they're from the other party as he walks into the podium. And you can watch this in practice as you see people falling over themselves to get photos and selfies and shake his hand as he makes his way to the podium to begin the speech. And I'm no psychologist or sociologist or whatever expert would be needed to decipher which basic human instincts are kicking in when people act this way, because it's really weird to watch from afar, and it really puts on stark display how completely detached from reality Washington, D.C. is from all the rest of us. It might as well be a completely separate country. Like, it makes me so mad I want to just burn it to the fucking ground. Metaphorically, of course.
And they shaking that nigga hand because, like I say, they never stolen and they never been allowed to steal like they're stealing, okay, under any other president, man. Okay, Trump is a new Reagan, you know, because she went into Reagan before as well. You know, we did a lesson with her. She went into Reagan. All right, and Trump is Reagan 2.0. And Reagan was all about corporations, man. Okay, so this she's gonna go into also dealing with some more stats. Let's see.
While they're supposed to be serving the people. It's fucking sickening. And so just focusing on what Trump was saying during that speech, or focusing on any individual policy, which is what I do most days, feels like not enough when discussing the State of the Union address. What was most striking about the speech wasn't necessarily the content of it, but really the scene in which it unfolded, the milieu, if you will, the context. Because the context is completely fucking detached from the actual reality of what the current State of the Union is on the ground. Here's the actual current State of the Union based on available data. 24% of the labor force in the United States is functionally unemployed. These are people who don't have a full-time job but want one, people who are unemployed, and people who are employed but not earning a living wage, which the Ludwig Institute for Shared Economic Prosperity defines as $26,000 per year per individual before taxes, which is modest and not a livable wage in most places in this country, I would argue. That rate is even more stark when you control for things like race, gender, and education level, with nearly 50% of people without a high school education functionally unemployed, 30% of women functionally unemployed, and 28% of Hispanic people functionally unemployed. This is, in my opinion, a much more important metric.
So functionally unemployed means you're working, but your wage is not a livable wage. Okay, because they throw this number of unemployment. They love to throw that number of unemployment. Oh, it's up 4.7%. Oh, it's down to 4.2%. Like it only moved, you know, by point decimals. Okay, here it is. Everybody, all right, all in the camera crying. Okay, taking baths, you know, in the Walmart bathroom. Okay, you know, this is my new van life. You know, the van, you know, you see, here it is. This is all we're seeing. But then the nigga say that the unemployment only moved 0.2%. Nah, man, they don't give you they that's a skewed number, because if you're unemployment for 3 months, well, after 3 months they take you off. They stop counting you as unemployed. Okay, like it's real jacked up how they do those numbers, man. It's because it's a fraud. It's just another scam. Okay, it's another number they can throw in front of you. It's a false report card of how your leaders are doing. Okay, but you got people, most people. So you got 1/3 of the country that's working, all right, but they're not making livable wages, so they're functionally unemployed. So you have employment, but it doesn't cover your living. So you're functionally unemployed. That's why you see homelessness going up, people living in their cars going up, van life going up, all these different things are going up because people, more and more people are becoming functionally unemployed because they're intentionally getting priced out of living. Okay, this is intentionally being done. Okay, Trump whole job is to distract you, all right, while the technocrats dismantle, okay, this old system, okay, and set up a new one, a digital one, man. Okay, Let's play this a little more.
Than the officially reported unemployment rate, because that number, which just measures who has a job, does not paint the full picture of the economic plight in this country. While our members of Congress on Capitol Hill are all mostly fucking millionaires, while they're getting multiple six-figure book deals and going on speaking tours where they get lavish treatment, the people out here are barely fucking scraping by. Inflation is at 2.4%, but back in 2022, during COVID, if you'll remember, inflation peaked around 10%. When that inflation slows down, that doesn't mean that prices drop and go back to what they were. It just means prices go up more slowly. So we're still paying those 10% increases plus the additional yearly inflation. So the actual rate of inflation means less than the cumulative effect of inflation over the last few years. While our lawmakers hobnob with billionaires whose fortunes absolutely fucking skyrocketed during COVID, we're out here trying to figure out how to make those meager wages cover all our groceries. More and more people are going into consumer debt just to cover the basics. Since 2020, inflation-adjusted wage growth has been pretty much zero, but that also doesn't paint the whole picture. Prior to the pandemic, according to the Brookings Institute, quote, after adjusting for inflation, wages are only 10% higher in 2017 than they were in 1973, with annual real wage growth just below 0.2%. The U.S. economy has experienced long-term real wage stagnation and a persistent lack of economic progress for many workers. We were sold the promise that in America, you could build yourself up. You can be more prosperous than the last generation. You just have to work hard enough. But many, many Americans are experiencing the opposite. Less economic stability than their parents, more uncertainty, more debt. While our wages have stagnated, home prices have increased by 45% since the pandemic, according to Zillow. And since 2006, the cost of going to college at an in-state public university has gone up 107%, or 29% when
That's crazy work. 107%. Okay. And then you stand a chance of getting a degree in something that AI finna replace. Okay. You stand a chance of going to college and getting a degree in something that AI is going to replace. All right. And they going to deem your ass useless. Your degree going to be useless, but you still going to owe their loan. Okay. America's the biggest scam running. Okay. America's the biggest goddamn scam running on the planet Earth, man. Okay. Oh, that's crazy work, man. 107% to go to the regular
adjusted for inflation. Reminder that wages have only increased by 10% when adjusting for inflation since 1973. In that same time, out-of-pocket costs for healthcare have more than doubled when adjusted for inflation. In the 1970s, about 25% of renter households were what's considered cost burdened, meaning they spend over 30% of their income on rent. Today, fully 50% of renters, half, are cost burdened and spending more than 30% of their income on rent, with over 25% of renters spending over 50% of their income on rent in this country. And I'm spending so much time on the economy because honestly, I don't usually talk about it, but it is actually the way the majority of people in the...
So let's go from there. I got two more videos just to go into the reality, man. You know, let's go here to let's go to this right here. Okay. America not the place to be anymore, you know. And for the longest, also too, America has pushed the propaganda, you know, that no one had it better, you know, than American people. You know, America was looked at as the model society of how the world should be. Okay. But as you know, each generation gets more and more, okay, corrupt. All right. More of a squeeze is being put on the masses. People can't afford to live, crime, you know, all these different things. See, the things that are normal in America, they're not normal everywhere else, man. You know, a lot of this crime, okay, that's in America, that's not normal everywhere else, man. You see, the quality of living in America, man, this is the Lord, Esau Edom, you know, has turned, America to one big ghetto, man. Okay, this is one big ghetto in America, man. Okay, to where wherever you at, you still have to operate and function and be aware, like you in the projects, man. You know, this is what this man has turned America into, man. You see? So let's play this.
Seen in modern history. If we go back all the way to the Great Depression, the United States has experienced net negative migration for the first time, going all the way back almost 100 years. The Trump administration is saying that falling immigration and rising deportations are a victory. In other words, when presented with the state of the Trump administration goes, well, of course, that's great. We're deporting a lot of people and we're limiting immigration. But the problem is, if you look beneath the hood a little bit, the number of Americans that are choosing to just leave the country, not for immigration related reasons, is going sky high. Now, one of the problems is we don't have perfect exit data because the United States stopped comprehensively tracking citizens who leave a while ago. But if you look at foreign residency permits, passport applications, home purchases, university enrollments, citizenship renunciations, they all point in the same direction. I was just in Portugal. Portugal's American population is up more than 500% since the pandemic. Ireland and Germany are seeing record inflows of Americans. Applications for British and Irish citizenship are at historic highs, and requests to renounce American citizenship jumped sharply in 2024 in advance of the swearing in of Donald Trump, and they are again accelerating. Now, this isn't really theoretical for me in a lot of ways. First of all, I was just in Portugal, met a ton of Americans who relocated there. These are not tourists. These are not, we're trying it out for 6 months. These are families with kids in many cases, mid-career professionals, retirees, people who sold their homes in the US and permanently have moved to Portugal. And when I would ask them why, there were only a few answers, and they were very clear. They were things like, I don't like wondering whether there's people in the grocery store who might pull out a gun, or at the movies who might pull out a gun. Like, they just don't really have guns around. They don't worry about their kids having to do active shooter drills. They don't worry about school shootings. They don't worry that a medical emergency is going to bankrupt them. They have predictable healthcare costs. Insurance is affordable. It's just lower stress. Now, more than 100,000 American students are enrolled abroad. International students coming to the US are declining. And there's a Gallup poll that found 1 in 5 Americans would permanently leave the country if they could. And the if they could is a big part of it. During the 2008 recession, for those thinking, well, it's merely economic, it was 1 in 10. So that is double that rate. Now, I think this could reasonably be called the Donald Dash. Trump's second term has expanded deportations. They've cracked down on universities. There's a crackdown on free speech. There's an increasingly volatile political climate, deportation rates, all this different stuff. And that is a factor in people choosing to live. Now, there's also systemic issues that are bigger than Trump. Childcare costs, student debt, burnout, all of this stuff is bigger than Trump. So I don't think it would be accurate to pretend that this is only because of Donald Trump. But historically, when people lose faith in leadership or stability, they leave. Americans left during the Great Depression. Citizens fled Nazi Germany, Castro's Cuba, Chavez's Venezuela, Russia after Putin's invasion of Ukraine. The US is not usually one of those places that we think of people leaving and fleeing. But emigration is happening. It's sending a signal. And it means that there are a lot of people in the United States who believe that their prospects are better elsewhere. And that is really an indictment of what is happening in this country. Now, I think it's also important to briefly sort of address the group of people like Elon Musk and others who are really worried about people not having enough babies. They're obsessed with, we've got to get the birth rate up and we need more. We need people having 3, 4, 5, 6 kids. Economics are often their primary concern. They believe we need to be growing in terms of population in order to grow economically. And that's sort of a controversial assertion. It didn't. China came to a different conclusion, but that's during their one-child policy. But that's a different story.
So you have, record, people fleeing America. All right. And I got this. I want to look at this real quick too. All right. So you have a record number of people fleeing in America. Okay. And these are people with careers, families. All right. And they just got up and left. Now I want to look at this because I was looking it up. So when you go into the top, let me see. Let me see here. Come on. So I looked up the top 50 countries with the lowest crime rate. Okay. So real quick, let me see. All right. So when you look at the countries, the top 50 country with lowest crime rates, okay, and America not even on the top 50. Okay, America is not even on the top 50 with lowest crime rates, man. Okay, all this technology. How do you have the greatest military on the planet Earth? Your military can go and just, bomb and destroy. Okay, but you don't even have the top. You don't even have the lowest crime rate. Okay, so what is the point of having this great, excellent military? All right, but your domestic affairs is off the meat rack, man. Okay, everybody head of America, man. You see, that's a goddamn shame. All right, but for the longest, they paint the picture as if America had it figured out. Okay, wow, man, America's being ran by thugs and criminals, man, the so-called white man. Okay, so I got one more video to show, and then we'll get a few more precepts. Okay, let's see. Yeah, let's get this.
Disastrous state of the union. All hell has been breaking loose across the world, and Donald Trump has been missing in action. He really hasn't even surfaced since that disastrous State of the Union that he gave. He reeks of weakness, and world leaders see this. I mean, you take a look at what's happening in North Korea right now. Kim Jong-un announcing yesterday that North Korea has a prospective plan to strengthen its national nuclear force, and it's going to focus on projects to increase the number of nuclear weapons and expand nuclear operational means and space for use. So no comment in response by Donald Trump's State Department or Donald Trump's Department of Defense or anybody in Donald Trump's regime. Could you imagine if that happened, what I just said, during former President Biden or former President Obama's administration, how right-wing propaganda media would just say, oh my God, it's World War III, look how weak you are. That's just another day in Donald Trump's weak America. In addition, we're now learning that China has flown large military drone operations at least 23 times since August over Taiwan. It uses these drone operations to apparently rehearse a possible invasion. And no real comments from the State Department there. No real comments from Donald Trump or the Department of Defense. Utter and total weakness by the Trump regime. Also, yesterday, even though the Trump regime didn't address this in any material way, the Cuban embassy announced that a Florida-registered speedboat entered Cuban waters earlier yesterday morning and allegedly opened fire on Cuban border guards who approached it, injuring the commander of the Cuban vessel. Cuba says that 4 people on a U.S. boat were killed and 6 others aboard it were injured during the confrontation. And Cuba says that the individuals who opened fire against the Cuban Coast Guards were there to, quote, infiltrate the island and unleash terrorism. And they also claim that these 10 passengers had a history of being against the Cuban regime and that they were basically sent there from the United States, whether it was on direct orders or otherwise. And Cuba has detained the individuals on that boat who were not killed. You have Marco Rubio, Secretary of State, saying, I don't really know what's going on here. And you had J.D. Vance yesterday saying, I don't really know what's going on here. I mean, you would think that.
And then going with the Cuba thing, speculation that those CIA agents, going to do, going to stage, terrorist attacks and cause a uprising in Cuba. Okay, but the Cuban Coast Guard, all right, intercepted them, and got into a shootout, and eventually, they got their boat out of here, man. Okay, so America is losing, man. America is looking bad, tacky. Okay, all across the board. Okay, the aircraft carrier, this big multi-billion-dollar aircraft carrier that said that the plumbing is bad on it, the toilets are stopped up. Okay, the sailors are, disgruntled. Okay, the American general telling Trump, like, look, nigga, we might need to fall back. Okay, the small hats is saying, ain't no falling back. You see? So all across the board, man, it's just a big shit show, man. Okay, well, this nigga jump on the State of the Union like he got it figured out, and America is in the best position it's ever been. Okay, and it is in the best position it's ever been because it's gonna be destroyed, and that's beautiful for the elect's sake. Okay, so it is in the best position that it's ever been because it's in the perfect position to be destroyed, to be turned into a desert. Okay, it's making the perfect moves necessary to be turned to a desert. So it is in the best position. Okay, when you look at it from the lenses of the elect. Okay, so play a little bit more of this.
That would be a pretty big international incident. I don't know, call me old school or old fashioned, but isn't that kind of a thing that a president of the United States would address? And can we just pause here for a moment at what I just covered in a very short period of time? Kim Jong-un announcing increasing their nuclear arsenal. Not do they have a nuclear arsenal, increasing it and increasing weapons production.
And it's just for America. All right. These nukes, every nuke that's being produced in the world outside of America is coming to America. Okay. That's why the scripture says, well, spare no arrows. Your brother want to post that in Jeremiah, or it says, spare no arrows, man. Okay. I believe it might be 51 or 50, Jeremiah 50 or Jeremiah 51. Okay. So every missile that's being produced is being produced to come here to America, man. It's going to add to America becoming a desert. Okay. So every nation is there watch all they that bend the bow. Okay. Everyone that bends the bow. Let me see. Yeah, I think it might be 51. Let's see. Let's read a little bit. Let's play a little bit more of this. Yep, brother got it. The water, brother. So yeah, let's play this.
China flying drones over Taiwan to rehearse for an invasion. Cuba killing 6 people or so on a fishing boat. That's just all happened in a short period of time. Also, the United States is apparently getting closer to invading Iran. The way it's being reported, though, is since there's no one else that wants to be an ally of the United States now other than Israel, what Trump wants is for Israel to strike first, then have Iran retaliate and attack Israel, and then the Trump regime goes in. That's like what their current thinking and plan is. Although Lindsey Graham is saying anything short of total regime change and total annihilation of the Ayatollah and everybody in Iran is unacceptable. And I just want to say this, though. Didn't this Trump regime promise the protesters in Iran. Go out there, protest. We got your back. If Iran shoots a single protester, the U.S. is going in guns a-blazing and will make sure that nobody gets killed. Then, I mean, there's different reporting on how many.
Yeah, so basically, all hell is breaking loose, okay, on the world stage. All right. When this nigga's telling you, the gas prices are low, you know. So let's just get a few of these precepts. See what brothers got. All right, this is the brother Yaqua, the hopeful Lake 3. Um it said this is Jeremiah 51:8. It said Babylon is suddenly fallen and destroyed. How for her take balm for her, if so she may be healed. Okay. Verse 9 it said, we will have healed Babylon, but she is not healed. Forsake her, let us go every one into their own country, for her judgment reaching unto heaven and is lifted. All right, even. Okay, let me see. Yeah, even to the skies. Okay. So America, there's no healing in this place, man. The judgment is already set for America, which is destruction by thermonuclear weapons, man. Okay. And the chariots of Yahweh by Shemal Shah. Okay, so America is already judged. It's just a matter of time. All right, the timing of the Lord that He has set for that judgment. But America is already on the path, okay, to this judgment, man. It's at the door. Okay, that's why all these moves are made. Okay, that's why there's no getting out of this conflict with Iran, because the conflict with Iran leads to this third world war where America becomes a desert, man. Okay, ain't no healing America. All right, ain't no all right voting. Okay, the right people in office going to change the course of America. Okay, all right, there's nothing good coming to America. No stimulus check. Okay, no community centers. Niggas community. We can have more community centers, and niggas still talking about community center. You see, niggas still talking about the community. It's over, man. Okay, my podcast. Trying to what E talking about therapy. I'm going to therapy. It's over. Okay, it's over. All right, therapy ain't the solution. It's over. You see, the only solution is the judgment of the scriptures, man. Okay, which let's get this. This is the brother GMS Truth Abounds. Jeremiah 50:14. It says, "Put yourselves in array against Babylon round about." Okay, so this the real solution to everything, and these nations are putting themselves in battle. All right, formation against America. Okay, everything is being this nuclear arsenal is being aimed at America. Okay, the target of all these different nations is America, man. Okay, it says all ye that bend the bow. So every nation with nuclear capability. Okay, every nation that has warheads on projectiles. Okay, shoot at her, spare no arrows, for she have sinned against the Lord. Okay, shoot at her, spare no arrows, for she have sinned against the Lord Yahweh Bashem Al Shah, man. So yeah, we're in the time where we finna see uh the Lord, all right, judge this place and turn America into a desert. That's the only solution. Okay, so this State of the Union, all right, this long ass speech, hour and a half speech, okay, is irrelevant, man. This is the only thing that makes sense. Jeremiah 50:14. All right, this is a solution. All right, this is the real State of the Union. Is Jeremiah 50:14. That's the State of the Union. Okay, and shoot at her, spare no arrows. Okay, thus said the Lord. So, yeah, that was the point. I believe the point was made. The water, to you brothers, you few sisters tuned in. May you was informed and edified. Till next time I say Shalom, Kwam Yashala, Abab, Abal, Sum, Shalom.